If you're a regular listener to the Smart Property Investment Show, then odds are you're already a property fanatic who loves hearing stories on investing from real people. The good, the bad and the ugly. Be with people just like you and join the group Passionate Property Investors on Facebook now. Become part of a community who know what to do and when to do it. And the time to do it is now. Passionate Property Investors. Tribe, tools and tips. Find us on Facebook today.
Welcome to the Smart Property Investment Show with your host, Phil Tarrant.
G'day everyone, how you going? Thanks for joining us on the podcast today, and wherever you're listening to this, I hope you're enjoying the summer period. And I've seen to be introducing a lot of podcasts this way recently, and I'm conscious that the silly season is now right amongst us, and we're running up into the last week of work. We finish everything here on the 20th of December. So lots happening, lots of Christmas parties going on. Everyone's out and about doing their stuff. But the good property investors are always focusing on their property investment journey and using this time to think about what's going on in their world. We love investor stories here is what we do. That's what's always been the heartbeat of smart property investment, is telling those stories of people right across Australia who are using property for wealth creation. And today's going to be no different. In the studio with me, Miriam Keane. She's a property investor, has been for many years, and we're going to have a good look at her portfolio. Miriam, how are you going? You well?
I'm well, thanks, Phil.
Why do you invest in property, Miriam?
Where do I
It's
start?
a big question.
Security for the future, I guess, is the obvious one. Financial freedom is the end goal, but just having that security, so you're not just reliant on a job forever, I guess.
And I guess you don't want to work forever?
No, not really.
Hopefully your employer's not listening to this right now. But it's, everyone's got this journey of retirement and what that looks like for them. And how did you end up getting into property? What's the story, the why of it all?
Yep, it's probably a little bit cliched, but it was probably after my divorce that got me thinking I've got to get serious about my finances. Because prior to then it was just, life was one big party, I guess. You know? Anyway, so I got a bit serious. I had to start from scratch. And I spent pretty much every day and night working. So I was working during the day and I was a security guard 4 or 5 nights a week.
Really?
Every week for 5.5 years. And that's how long it took me to save up the first deposit, which was, it was about 120K.
Okay. Well, that's a pretty reasonable deposit first go.
Yeah, because I had my eye on particular property, and the property that I wanted, the banks wanted 20%.
Okay. So you had to go in at that.
Yeah.
Okay. Look, it's a good start. Now, if you don't mind me asking, how long have you been divorced for?
Oh, God, it's 12 years now.
Okay. So it's some time ago. And your story is like quite common in that divorce, etc. But putting that aside, but for a lot of females, and we chat about it sometimes, need to get going, kickstart again. Sometimes their careers, sometimes their journey to financial freedom, sort of subsequent to divorce, and it's sometimes quite a challenging thing to do.
Everything
Absolutely
from scratch.
Everything.
So
Was it a?
I had to move away. I was living in the country. I had to get back to Sydney, get a real job again, do all that stuff. So it was like
a big shift, right?
Yes.
Like a big shift. And I don't need to know the details of the divorce, but was it something which was expected, or was it something which was pretty immediate? The trigger sort of you needing to take control and moving on.
Well, I initiated, but there was insurmountable problems. It's probably the easiest way to say.
I don't even go there, but so you just went, I'm moving back to the city.
Yeah.
I've got to get going again. So you arrived back in Sydney.
Had to find a job again.
Yeah.
Because in the country it wasn't, I was working, but not the sort of corporate work that I was, was doing prior.
Yeah.
And the security was obviously just to try and save as much money as quickly as possible.
Mm. Wow. So you're working as a security guard at night. Yeah. Was that like driving around checking places?
Nightclubs, bars.
Oh, you work in nightclubs and bars, were you?
Yep.
Okay.
Still licensed, but I haven't worked for about 3 years.
What nightclubs and bars were you working at?
Everywhere.
So imagine
all over Oxford Street and everything.
God.
And the Cross. Yeah.
Good fun?
Yeah, it was.
You've seen it all?
Yeah.
Well, maybe you've let me into some places once or twice. Did you enjoy the work?
Yeah, actually, yeah.
It's good fun?
I did a few private gigs where I met celebrities and so on.
Yeah. Tell me about your last day being a security guard.
Oh, God. I don't know, I did Guy Sebastian's wedding.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. That was super secret school. Until we got there, we didn't know what we were doing.
What were you doing or what you're doing? Yeah. So, but your last days, did you go, this is my last shift being a security guard, or do you remember?
I keep being licensed just in case. It's just one of those, security things. But I haven't really actively worked for about 3 years. Okay. So I just, if I get a fun gig comes up, I'll do it. But I don't seek it out anymore.
Okay. No. Well, interesting. So, but this was a mechanism for you to make more money?
Because I wasn't making enough from my day job.
Okay.
Basically.
And do you make enough out of your day job now? It's okay.
Is it ever enough, really, Phil?
Well, so what sort of work do you do?
I'm in publishing, so I sell ad space for magazines and online.
Okay, which I'm very familiar with. Got a big team of people here that do that sort of stuff. Do you enjoy that work?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been a long time. I've been with my current company for like 11 years. So,
Okay, that's cool. So when you come back to Sydney, you pretty much started working straight away with
it was a different
that
company, and then
Yeah.
I went straight to this one, yep.
Okay, that's cool. And which sort of area of Sydney do you live, or is it in the same areas that you invest?
No. I live in Narrabeen. So
Okay,
no
sort of
Shore.
near here. Yeah. So come back to Sydney, you go, I got to take control of stuff, sort your stuff out. You got to, you're in charge of your own future, work 2 jobs, saving. Did you live well during this period of saving, or did you go, I'm going to cut away all the noise?
I did all that.
Did you sort of get rid of the, so people say you sacrifice. I don't really like the word, but you were strategic about how you spent your money.
Well, the reality is when you're working that much, you don't actually have a lot of spare time to spend it anyway.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
And so when you weren't working, you were just sleeping and taking it easy, right?
Yeah.
It's pretty heavy going.
Yeah.
So when you started, how long from returning back to Sydney did you say it's time to start saving for
Straight away.
property? Okay.
Straight away.
And that was like a key beacon for what you need to do. And did you just start saving for saving's sake, or did you go, here's the number that I need?
Well, I'd done enough market research. I knew where I wanted to buy my first property.
Yeah.
It was just a matter of how soon can I get in.
Okay.
And I had to give it my best because, the longer you take, the more the market gets away from you. Even though I happened to buy at the right time, I still felt like it was miles away, the goal,
Yeah.
So,
And where was that first property that you purchased?
Rushcutters Bay.
Okay. All right. So that's, what would you buy? Studio, one better, two better?
It was a one better.
One better in Rushcutters?
But it's still only 45 squares.
Yeah.
But it's a really good quality, right street, right near the marina.
I imagine you've had no problems renting that
Not
over
at
the
all.
years. So how much did you pay straight off the bat?
At the time, it was May 2012 I settled. I paid $448.
$448. And what do you reckon it's worth today?
After all the softening, probably about $720.
Okay. And you bought it 80%, so you put a fair few bucks down. And what sort of rent are you getting on that?
$540 a week.
Okay. So it's performing okay for you? You're happy with where it's at?
Yep.
Yeah. Have you refinanced at all in that time?
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
I did pull equity out. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And was that to sort of go into the next property, was it?
That was actually to go into my third. So
okay. So there's something in between. Okay. I want you to tell me what it is. I want to go to a break first, so the bit of suspense, but we'll be back in a moment.
Creating financial freedom is every investor's dream. Best-selling author and director of Pure Property Investment, Paul Glossop, is giving you that chance. To grab a copy of his new book, A Surfer's Guide to Property Investing, absolutely free, simply jump onto Pure Property Investment's Facebook page, hit the message button and type the words Smart Property to secure your free copy today. But hurry, this offer is limited to the first 100 people.
Welcome back, everyone, here with Miriam Keane. We're chatting about her entry into the property market. First property purchase, Rushcutters Bay, 2012, now worth $720, bought for $448, $540 rent, not too bad. So you actually saved up in order to get into your second property rather than refinancing. So what was the second property that you purchased?
I just purchased a block of land in Cessnock.
Okay.
And I built a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, double garage house.
On it?
On an estate there, yeah.
Okay. We're in Cessnock, out towards the road out to Hunter Valley Way, or?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Bevan Street it is, yeah.
Okay. Are you happy with the
To be honest, I had a lot of drama for a couple of years, but it's now all good.
Okay. Yeah. Was it drama like tenants or building?
The demographic wasn't ideal, which I wasn't 100% aware of at the time.
How much did you pay for the land?
It was $155 for the land, $230 for the build.
Okay. All in, what's that, $385?
$385, yeah.
And when did you do this? What was it?
Oh, it was shortly after, it was probably 2013.
Okay. And so you kept saved, yeah.
I saved to get that, but I only had to put down a small deposit because you don't pay stamp duty on the land and whatever else. And I think there was a kickback from the government at the time or something. Okay,
some sort of incentive to do so. Yeah, probably on the stamp duty. There's probably on the house as well because new build stuff.
There was a $5,000 grant or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool. So you bought the block of land, and how long did you have the land for before you built the house? Or was it pretty much
It was all done within 6 months.
Okay.
I was micromanaging that.
Okay. That's cool. And why did you buy in Cessnock? What was the plan?
Well, to be honest, I was influenced and I probably didn't do as much homework as I should have done at the time because I was a bit green and very excited to just jump back in.
Yeah. So you went somewhere and saw it, or someone put the opportunity in front of you?
Yeah. And at the time, it seemed like a good idea because I actually was trying to get into Newcastle, but I just didn't have enough to get
Priced
in there.
out.
So Cessnock was the nearest area I could do that.
Okay. And in for 385, what do you think the property's worth today?
Not a whole lot more, to be honest.
No?
It's probably about 400, 410.
Okay.
Conservatively.
What sort of rent are you getting up there?
400. I've got great tenants at the moment.
Okay, so there's a period of time where you didn't have great tenants.
That's right.
They just didn't pay the bill?
And the rest.
Okay. Did they trash the joint?
Yes, yes, did all that.
Did you have insurance?
No.
Oh, you didn't have insurance?
No, I didn't.
Oh, dear.
I wore those costs, yeah.
Why didn't you have insurance? Just didn't get around to it, sort of thing?
I did my homework, and in all honesty, I don't think I would have been that much in front at the time.
Wow. So were you managing it through a property manager?
Yep.
And
I churned through a few of those, yeah.
Okay. And they recommended this particular tenants to come in?
Yeah. And then with the last tenant, I actually decided myself, I said, I don't want anybody who's on welfare. I don't care how nice they are. Because my experience was that every time I let welfare people in there, it was just a bad move. So I got working people that work and they've been a breeze.
Yeah, I think this is the, as a landlord, you've got certain things you can control and certain things not in your control. And one of the things that's in your control is who you choose to put into your property. But you need to own a decision if you say yes or no, right?
What I do say, Phil, is anyone who's worried about pets, I think you're going to get the nicest tenants that have pets.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Because they're super grateful. They're happy to pay a little bit more and they're not really a headache, I found, my experience. So they've got a couple of little dogs, but
that's all right.
There's been no damage. It's been fine.
Well, it's okay if your place gets damaged if it's insured. So, Are all your properties insured now?
No.
No? Okay.
No.
Oh, okay.
I prefer to have a buffer that would cover unforeseen circumstances now.
Okay. So if someone trashes your joint, or what about no one paying rent and stuff and all that sort of thing? Yeah. What about if it burns down?
I haven't really thought about the whole burning down thing, but not paying rent, I know how to handle that.
I'm not in the business of giving any advice on this, but you might want to rethink your insurance strategy.
Probably.
Yeah. So how much did it cost you to get the place fixed after those tenants moved out?
I honestly couldn't tell you.
Okay.
I chased a bad debt, one of them which was 10 grand, which took about 3 years to get back.
So you got it back?
Yep.
Yeah?
In very small dribs and drabs, like $100 a week.
Was that through the courts?
Yes.
You did that? Okay. How was that experience going through the courts?
Oh, it's just what you got to do.
And so this didn't necessarily burn you or put you off property investment because you've gone again, right?
No.
So, but it's all okay now?
It's all good now. Yeah, that was, at least over 2 years ago that was.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a headache. It's stressful and time-consuming and all this sort of stuff, right? So it's absolutely
But I thought if I sold, I'd be way in the red. I just had to ride my loss at the time. Yeah. And I'm glad I did because it's all good now.
So the next property, where did you buy? So you mentioned that you refinanced the Rushcutters Bay property in order to get yourself into it.
So for the next one, I pulled out equity to buy my third place, which was in Lakemba.
Okay.
But what I did is I actually pulled out enough equity. I only used like half of it for the deposit, bought a property and then repeated the formula again about 6 months later.
Okay, so
in the same area.
So 2 in Lakemba?
Yep.
Okay.
That was a yield play.
I reckon you've probably done all right out of your Lakemba stuff.
Well, it was a yield play, so low buy-in and obviously decent rent.
Yeah. Okay, so what'd you buy, 2-bedroom units out there?
Yep, 2-bedroom with a car space and a balcony and all that.
And both of them are pretty much the same, are they?
Yeah. $358 I paid for the first one.
Okay.
And around $400 for the next, but it was worth it. It was actually a superior property, so.
That's cool. And what sort of rent are you getting on these?
$410.
Okay.
And no dramas at all with tenants. They've all been fine.
They're always in-demand proproperties. But even on the capital growth, you've got to be, when did you buy them?
That would have been about 2014.
Okay. So what are they worth today? They've got to be up sort of 500, right?
No, not quite. No? Probably about 420, 430.
Okay. Over time, though, there'll be good performers in your portfolio and they're cash flow positive, I'm taking from it.
And they're really low strata fees as well.
Are they just the blonde brick type things?
Yeah.
There's quite a lot of them out Lakemba.
But they're low maintenance and like strata fees on one of them is like $380 per quarter, which is not even 1 week's rent.
Yeah. Okay, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So that was property number
3 and 4.
Okay. Yep. And then there's more to the portfolio, but before you get there, let's go to a quick break. Back in a moment.
We get it. You're here listening to the Smart Property Investment Show and you're being interrupted by this ad. We value your ears just as much as your eyeballs, so we'll be quick. Join passionate property investors on Facebook today and we'll fill your Facebook feed with useful tips and tools, plus free education from industry experts and a tribe of people who get it. Passionate property investors. Find us on Facebook now.
Welcome back, everyone, here with Miriam Keane, chatting through her journey as a property investor. And I must admit, that whole sort of insurance issue and sort of dealing with tenants and going through the court is stressful, but obviously it hasn't put you off investing in property. So tell me about property number 5.
Well, that was probably, I guess, my most evolved fancy deal I bought through my self-managed super fund.
Okay.
So I bought like a 2-story townhouse in the Gold Coast.
Okay.
So that was a 3-3-3, so 3 bedroom, 3 bathroom. 1 lock-up garage and 2 car spaces.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so that was a complicated process going through a self-managed super fund.
Yeah. How'd you go with the financing on it?
Well, it was tricky, but I managed. There was a lot of toing and froing and loads of paperwork and identity checks, which I'd not been used to. But yeah, it was all right.
What was the catalyst for investing in your super fund?
Well, a number of things. I wanted to just lock something in away there because I heard there's going to be probably other changes to self-managed super fund, and I just knew that I was ticking the boxes to do it, and I just needed to just do it already.
Yeah.
And also diversification, because I had a lot of concentration in New South Wales. I wanted to do something in Queensland.
Okay.
And I happened to find what I thought was the perfect property that ticked all my boxes. So,
how much did you pay?
Well, believe it or not, only $417. They wanted $440.
Okay.
And then I spent probably about $5,000 doing renos, all remotely.
Yeah.
On the
We'll chat about it in a moment.
Yep.
It's the same fun. And what do you think the property's worth today?
Well, put it this way, I didn't know, but about 3 weeks later, there was only 10 in the villa, like in the commune, and one of them sold for $465 3 weeks after mine, and that was only a 3x2x2.
So you've bought so 3x3. That means so 2 of the bedrooms have their own ensuite, and then
there's a normal one's got an ensuite, one's a bathroom, and then there's like a toilet downstairs. Yeah.
So you've bought well. You feel as though you've bought pretty well.
Yeah.
When was this?
I settled in June this year.
Oh, so recently.
Yep.
So you've probably bought smack bang in the sort of bottom-ish of where the market's going. But, Gold Coast is the Gold Coast. It moves at its own market and shifts and it changes a lot based on sentiment. So what's the long-term play with that, just to keep it in your super fund forever?
That's high yielding.
Yeah.
I'm getting $525 a week there. So
you're getting $525?
Yeah.
Okay. And how much deposit did you put down on it?
What was it?
20%? Probably a bit more in super
they
fund.
want that. Yeah, I think about 30%.
30% in your super fund, yeah. Okay. Well, so that's going to be really highly yielding.
Yes.
And what do you do? Is tip that money straight back into the super fund? Is the idea to buy another one? Yeah.
Oh, I can't at this stage, but the rent's going straight into the super fund.
Yeah. Okay. So you're contributing. So you're getting the capital growth in the property, but you're also contributing positively to your super fund, which is a good thing. It's a strategy that works for a lot of people if they buy well, and once you've raised enough cash, you can go again, I guess, is the idea. So this diversification play up to Brisbane. So you got Rushcutters Bay, 2 in Lakemba, a property in Cessnock, which is pretty reasonable diversification already. Cessnock's a house, Rushcutters Bay, a 1-bedder, the
Art
2
Deco.
Lakemba. Yeah, Art Deco. Yeah, it's beautiful. I know where it is. And that's the gentrification around there as well. You've got to experience the change in that. And, it's changing rapidly, right? From, imagine when you're doing security down to the cross.
Yes.
When you started versus where you are today, it's a little bit different,
It hasn't really hurt capital growth or rentals though.
No.
I was a bit concerned that people were moving there because of the club area and whatever. Hasn't really hurt the rentals.
What do you reckon about all this lockout law stuff? Do you reckon it's sort of, everyone complains about it's killing Sydney, it's killing its character. Like King's Cross is King's Cross is a cool place, but it's changed the character around it. But I guess in terms of gentrification of sort of surrounding properties, they've probably benefited from it in some way.
It hasn't hurt my property per se.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole lockout thing, my personal view is I don't know why they did it.
Yeah.
They are unravelling that, so
they are slowly but surely. Yeah. Thankfully, they're opening up a little bit more because
the damage is done with a lot of businesses all closed.
A lot of people hurt from it. It's anyway, I don't want to get political around lockout laws, but at least some of the vibrancy is coming back to Sydney slowly but surely, which is a cool thing. So what's next for you? What's the next play?
Well, I really want to get into commercial.
Okay.
So I've been trying to get into it for a while, but I want to do something with a low buy-in, and it's just very difficult to find a good deal that works.
And do you do all that yourself? Are you sort of...
Pretty much.
Yeah. So how do you get educated, other than listening to the Smart Property Investment Show, how do you get educated about property?
I meet up with a bunch of really intelligent property investors, all women, and we all chat about what we're doing, and there's a bit learning there because we've all got different experiences. We're all doing slightly different things. Like some people are doing development and some people are doing, whatever. So
how often do you meet? Is it just a loose collection of people that know each other through property?
Yeah. It's quite informal. It's just
is it normally a restaurant over wine?
Yes.
Okay. I've got groups of friends I do that with as well, where we
catch up at Kirribilli we try to do it every couple of months.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, where in Kirribilli do you meet?
The club.
Oh, the Kirribilli Club. Okay. Yeah, it's a cool place. Yeah. That's all right. And it's just you just rock up and chat about what you do, and there's no formalities around it.
No one's trying to sell you anything. We're all just saying, hey, this is what I've been up to, and we all get tips off, what's going well and what's not working or whatever.
Okay. Oh, cool. And I hope you all listen to the Smart Property Investment Show. Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, of course.
And sort of just quickly going back to this interstate, maybe as a point just for some takeaways for some of our listeners, this sort of interstate, so renovating a place, $5 grand. So not a massive reno, but still considerable reno up in the Gold Coast on your townhouse. How was that experience for you?
Well, what helped, I think, was the fact that I had a fabulous sales agent to work with. So I would just basically send tradespeople to her and she accommodated them, which really helped.
That's cool.
So when I agreed on the buy price, there was a number of conditions that I attached to that, and she was like, yep. So obviously I wanted early access.
Yep.
And I'll just divulge something. They wanted 440, but there was a massive termite issue.
Okay.
But that didn't scare me off because they came back and said, look, because I said, I want to put in this tentative offer, but bearing in mind I haven't done my building and pest reports and blah, blah, blah. And she's come back to me straight away saying, look, we admit that there's this issue, but the vendor's happy to sort it out at their expense prior to settlement. I said, great. So obviously they sent me engineer certificates to prove all that was done, but it actually was a fair bit of work. It took like 3 weeks.
Okay.
They had to pull out timber frames and do everything and then repaint everything. So it was almost like I got almost a brand new shell, really. Yeah. And then I just went in and added bits and pieces like fresh carpet to the upstairs bedrooms. I put in an aircon system because, believe it or not, they didn't have one. Oh, okay. That's what you need one in the Gold Coast.
Yeah.
Right? And I just fixed up a fence and did some landscaping. So it wasn't a big deal, but it made the place look schmick, basically. Yeah.
Well, you're getting good rent on it. And, to your point around termites, a lot of people are turned off by termites. As soon as they see termites run a million miles, my experience, I've bought stuff with termite damage before. And, as a strategy, a lot of people think it depends on the situation, but often it's quite cheap to fix termite damage as long as you fix it correctly and you treat it appropriately, so you can avoid them coming back. Sometimes it can be very expensive.
Well,
it just depends.
This was quite extensive, the damage, but like I said, they fixed it all up themselves at their expense and gave me long reports with engineering certificates and everything to prove that it was all done with a warranty and everything. So I couldn't really ask for more than that.
Yeah. So when's this journey in property going to finish? When are you going to say, that's enough, I'm done? I can say, do you have like this magical number that you've got in terms of what you want this portfolio to be generating?
Well, I did, but that's an evolving number now.
It always changes, doesn't it?
Yes. You've got to keep it interesting, right?
Yeah, that's cool. So you enjoy it, obviously.
Yeah, of course.
You spend a lot of your time thinking about property, doing property. Yeah. Well, so what would be your tips to... say your experience, come from the country, recently divorced, starting afresh and new, you're a definite case study to say it can be done, right?
Oh, definitely.
It can be done.
Yeah. You've got to be really focused, obviously, and not be distracted on, it's very easy to get distracted from your goal when it takes a little while.
Yeah.
And the other tip I'll have for people is obviously engage experts as much as possible, but try to have a bit of a superficial knowledge
yourself
of whatever it is so that you can go back and you're not flying blindly, completely dependent on other people's opinions.
Yeah, that's fine.
Because I've had to learn that several times.
Yep. Yeah, and advice is only as good as what you do with it. So, you need to know enough yourself to actually challenge the advice. And anyone who's a provider of advice should be comfortable in an environment where you say, well, what about that? What about that? What about that?
Exactly.
That's okay. It's okay to do that, and sort of recommended that you do that. And for yourself personally, over this sort of 12 years or so, there must be times when you start flag a little bit away from your goals or losing focus on it. How do you sort of bring yourself back to why you're doing what you're doing?
I guess just I evaluate my portfolio quite regularly and I always just try to find any leaks, I guess.
Yeah.
And that keeps me motivated, that there's always something you can tweak to improve things. You know, if you let it go for too long, it becomes too much hard work then.
Yeah, cool. Well, you have to come back on when you've got your next purchase. Really keen to hear what's happening. So,
cool.
No, thanks for coming in and sharing your story, Miriam. I'm really impressed by how you've taken control in your financial future and you've gone about looking after yourself and doing what you're doing. It's something that's absolutely commendable and no doubt a lesson for a lot of people in there. So it's good.
Thank you, Phil.
Nice one. Remember to check out smartpropertyinvestment.com.au. If you're not yet subscribing to our morning newsletter, so the first to know what's happening in property right across Australia, at smartpropertyinvestment.com.au/subscribe. Social media, just search Smart Property HQ. You can track us down. We'll be back again next time. Until then, bye-bye.
The information featured in this podcast is general in nature and does not take into consideration your financial situation or individual needs and should not be relied upon. Before making any investment, insurance, tax, property or financial planning decision, you should consult a licensed professional who can advise whether your decision is appropriate for you. Guests appearing on this podcast may have a commercial relationship with the companies mentioned.
At Passionate Property Investors, we hear from a lot of infinite learners who love to know more and share more about their property knowledge and investment journey. If this sounds like you and you want to get more education where your eyeballs are, then join us on Facebook at Passionate Property Investors. Videos, ebooks and learning pathways to get your property cup filled up. Not to mention free education with a tribe who gets it. Join today by searching Passionate Property Investors on Facebook.